Hello, we are Yampa Mountain High School, and this is Grassroots Television.
There's a lot you can do in this town. You set it up and turn it around. We might have come from somewhere else, but this is where we found ourselves. Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Welcome to a special on-location edition of The Local Show. I'm Eric Scarvin, your host. We're here live at Owl Farm in Woody Creek, Colorado. I'm so excited and honored and just joyful to have Anita Thompson on The Local Show here at your own house, Anita. This is special.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome to Owl Farm. I'm so happy to have you back. The longest running local show in the country and in the world.
At least in the valley.
At least in the universe, in the known galaxy. And here you are. I'm so glad that you were able to come here for the filming so that we can honor Hunter and his legacy here in Woody Creek in 2024.
I mean, you can just feel the history, the energy, the HST, you know, the good doctor. Mm-hmm. There's so much just to take in here as we're in the living room of Owl Farm. And I wanted to, talk about the farm, and you're looking for a historic designation. Mm-hmm. And just an update for the viewers on how that's going.
Yes, it has. I started the process several years ago. It was 50 years after Hunter published Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail is when generally historic designations are granted. And a historic designation, there are lots of reasons to do it. One is so that when something happens to me, which we all die eventually, that the house won't be razed, torn down, demolished for a McMansion, which is sort of the trend in this valley.
Yeah.
And if we'd like to think that would never happen, but it's important to protect places like Hunter Thompson's home, or Mark Twain's home, or Ernest Hemingway's homes.
Yeah.
Just for posterity, and also the spiritual aspect of it. These walls, the furniture. I kept everything on the interior and the exterior just as Hunter left them. So that there's a special quality to that. The first few years after he passed away, it brought me personal comfort. It was just a personal reason that I wouldn't allow anyone to touch anything. Even out of love, people wanted to dust and help me with the cleaning, and I just said, no, please don't touch anything. And then after about 3 years or 3.5 years, I started to move his slippers and his toothbrush out of the bathroom and things like that. And I, like the private rooms, like the bedroom and bathroom, I started to like change carpet and change, curtains and things like that. But these rooms that we're in now, like the living room that we're in now, the kitchen that's behind us, and the war room right below us, these are the rooms that Hunter wrote in. They actually worked. Here, when his back started to become too much for him, it was hard for him to walk up and down the stairs. He sat where you're sitting and started typing right here, which is even worse for your spine. But there's a fireplace is right here, and then he moved his operation into the kitchen full time.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are really special places in American literature, but also in the valley. So
it's got a museum-like quality because you maintain that character, that feel, that just vibration. There's just an energy, right? Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. So historic designation will protect the property.
Yes.
And then are there some other benefits for funding?
Sure. Yes, funding is a huge, locally it's a huge aspect because for me personally to live, my family worried about me a little bit in the beginning, and especially as years went on, that I'm sort of living in a shrine. I choose to keep it frozen in time, which psychologically is probably not that healthy. So what I would like to do, I need to build myself a new cabin on the property. It's a 42-acre property, so I will build myself a new one so that this can be open to the public more often. It'll always be private because we have neighbors, and Hunter Thompson fans, you'll notice they're generally they read, they're intelligent, they care, and there's also an aspect that there can be a little like imagine being crazy if you're a Hunter Thompson fan.
No.
But there are a few. Once in a while, we just have to be responsible and
Right.
And just keep it private, but keep it accessible. And the way to do that is funding. And Pitkin County is, we hope that we can get some funding through something called a TDR, and that will come with a historic designation also.
Okay.
If all goes well. It's been several years and extremely expensive, but it's worth it.
Well, let's talk about the fundraising, and I like to say fundraising.
That's right.
Because there's merchandise that's part of
yes.
the fundraising. Can you
Yes,
describe
we do
that a
have
little
quite a bit of merchandise. Hunter actually started the merchandising because the Gonzo logo is something very special. The design of it, the double-fisted thumb with the peyote button in the center, was his first conception. He and his friend, really amazing artist in the Valley, Tom Benton, they created the fist, and Hunter recognized it right away as something. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret it, and there were different ways Hunter interpreted it, but one is balance. The fist, when he was a reporter at the Air Force Base paper, Eglin Air Force Base, he was the editor, and what he first learned the layout of a page. To him, the layout and the artistry was the most important, and it was symmetry in his mind. And then he would put in the copy after he put in the photographs and the layout of the page.
Okay.
So he had the same idea when he came up with the double fist. With the double thumb fist.
It's kind
and
of
it's kind of a prophecy. Some people have brought this up, and I kind of like it with a phone. It was now we all type with two thumbs.
Right.
So I've heard that. I kind of like that. And then
the modern interpretation.
That's right.
Right.
The power of the pen is actually in your thumbs now.
Yes.
But and then later he added the word Gonzo and the blade, and that's a masculine and feminine balance. There's lots of different aspects you can read into it, which is, and many people do. It's pretty neat to see everybody's various interpretations. When they feel connected to something, they have their own explanation. It's wonderful.
And how would Hunter define Gonzo? Like, just briefly. I know there's a lot to it.
Sure, he had different interpretations. Almost any time someone asked him, he would have a different response.
Okay.
But one of them it started generally. The actual concept of it started with the Kentucky Derby piece. He thought his career was over. He was writing a piece in Kentucky with Ralph Steadman. And Ralph already finished the artwork, and Hunter was late. It was he was not really Hunter Thompson, the Hunter Thompson we know yet. He didn't know he could get away with pushing deadlines, and he would just panicked, and he just took out his notebook pages, ripped them out, and put them into what we might call sort of a fax machine. It was called a mojo wire back then.
Okay.
Sent it in. He was in the bathtub, almost in tears. He thought his career was over.
Oh,
but it turned out to be really kind of a groundbreaking way of writing. And what that is, why you can look at all of his notes throughout his entire life, and also his personality. He was unflappably present. Anytime you were in a room with him, if there was chaos, if it was peaceful, he was always present. It was just like the stillness and awareness in whatever is going on around him. And that's why he could take those beautiful, detailed notes. He was so present. And so Gonzo could be now. He could be present just like he was. And
present in the moment.
It comes through.
Yeah.
It comes through. Writers or artists, when they see something, they're aware. They're here right now. They're not thinking about the past or the future.
Right.
They can do that later when they're analyzing, but when their job is observing, they're very present. It's a really beautiful thing to see. I see it once in a while.
I love that, because it's like the only moment that really counts, right? Is now.
There's a philosophy of that, right? It's the only thing that really exists. Right now, all of us here in the room, we exist right now.
Right,
if you're watching this right now, look around you. I've also heard have you heard the saying, if you want to know the condition of your soul, look around you? Yeah. And so my soul is really in good shape, you guys, to have you around.
Well, this present is a
you.
gift today.
Thanks.
And, that's the other cliche about, living in the present. It is such a gift. And this is truly a gift to be here. We do have to take a quick break and thank the underwriters for making this show happen.
Thank you, underwriters.
All winter long, we run parallel to the ski season with our winter series. I want to thank Haiti Children, I want to thank Klug Properties, Local Spirits, Paradise Bakery, Pitkin County Solid Waste Center, Sundog Athletics, and the Wheeler Opera House. We're going to have our show with the Wheeler next week. Stay tuned. We'll meet the new executive director. But right now, we've got Anita Thompson at Owl Farm. We'll be gone just for 2 minutes break, guys. We'll be back talking all things Gonzo, so don't go away.
Located in the heart of Aspen, the Wheeler Opera House is rooted in community and recognized globally, presenting live entertainment from comedy and music to dance and theater. Visit WheelerOperaHouse.com for a full schedule of events.
Community is at the heart of Aspen, and I take great pride in being a part of it. I'm Chris Klug, and as a lifelong Aspen resident, my connection to this community runs deep. My involvement in local events and charities isn't just about giving back. It's about staying in tune with the community I love. Allow me to help you find your place in our incredible community together.
Want to live like a local? Help us reduce food waste, a major contributor to climate change.
You can help in 3 simple ways.
Plan menus carefully and only buy what you need.
Collect unused scraps for compost.
Buy ugly fruits and vegetables.
Reduce food waste.
Live like a local.
Locally owned and operated, Local Spirits has low prices, a convenient location next to Exxon gas station with parking, and is Aspen's exclusive cigar dealer. 3% back with our loyalty program. Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school and snowshoeing specialists since 1996. Brought to you by Paradise Bakery and Gelateria, serving Aspen for 42 years.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Thanks for sticking with us on a special on-location edition of the Local Show, guys. This is a history, Anita, that it's our first on-location shoot in almost 20 years of the show.
Thank you so much for being here.
This is truly a special edition. Thanks for making it happen.
Yeah, Hunter would be so happy that you guys are here. Yeah.
Let's talk about Hunter's third letters book, The Mutineer, because that's a great way to kind of lead into
I'm so glad you asked, because it is a fair question. A lot of fans apparently were sold the Mutineer. They purchased the Mutineer right after Hunter died. Simon & Schuster had this out, and there's been petitions online and a lot of confusion. And for the family as well, we were very confused. Their first letters book, Proud Highway, second letters book, Fear and Loathing in America. Third letters book is titled The Mutineer. Doug Brinkley is the editor of that as well. But the original contract was up to 1991. And I already turned in the manuscript up to 1991 before I met Hunter in New Orleans in 2005, before he died. So everything changed. When he died, they decided it would be better to have all the letters up to his death, and that just simply confused everything. So there's no malevolence or ill will. It's been sort of I think a confusing time for the trustees and his editor to get all these letters that were very difficult to find after we sold the archive to a good friend, but then he sort of disappeared for a little while with Hunter's archive, and I think they don't want to publish an incomplete book. I suggest now, after almost 20 years since the book was due, that they publish it to 1991. But I'm not in charge of the letters book. I was at the time, but now I'm only in charge of this part of Hunter's legacy. We are cordoned off, sort of a balance of power.
Okay.
Yeah, so to maybe help with, whatever. Hunter was very specific about what he wanted, and he did want the Mutineer published. And at the time, I believed he assumed there would be 4 letters books, not 3. But anyway, that book does exist. The manuscript was turned into Simon & Schuster. And if you write to Simon & Schuster, I think enough pressure would get them to publish it up to the contract date at 1991 letters. It's really worth the wait. Hunter, he didn't write a lot in the 90s and late 80s and 90s, but the letters are extraordinary. He was an extraordinary communicator. So, yeah, thanks for asking. It's confused a lot of people.
The publisher,
yeah, absolutely. It's the publisher, Simon & Schuster, sure.
Okay.
They have it. They have the manuscript. They've had it for 20 years.
Just briefly, what was his process like? We have some fun images of Hunter, you know, sitting at the IBM Selectric, you know, some of in his bathrobe and looking pretty comfy and right at home. Can you tell just kind of a brief description of kind of his writing process? It's
a very good question. First and foremost, Hunter was a writer before he was a father or a husband or a marksman or, you know, a drinker or whatever. He was kind of always writing all the time in his mind. When he sat down to take those notes is when I think the magic started to happen. And then when he sat down, he had to do it at night. If you've ever been a night person or you know night people, everything changes at night. The phones stop and the level of movement just stops. There's a different kind of movement. The predators are out and the owls and Hunter. And so he would write at night, starting about 10 o'clock and write until the sun would start to come up.
Wow.
And unless he was on a deadline, he might go past 8, 9, 10 in the morning, depending on the deadline.
A night owl at Owl Farm. That
Indeed.
seems pretty appropriate.
Yes. Yeah, he said the truth.
long.
Yeah, he said the truth is rarely told between 9 and 5.
Oh, interesting.
You know, it could be.
How relevant is that today?
Yes.
We see
Yeah.
this
Ever.
kind
I
of
mean, yeah.
different philosophy of life where people are living in their own truth, right? Their own realities. That's really interesting. So he was a night owl that way, would write through the night.
And he always typed. He did try I don't know if the younger generation knows what a word processor is, but everything we're typing on is a word processor. Yeah. Those are different. And he really had he had an issue when he would type in the computer. He tried for a while. Apple gave him several very expensive computers. And he tried, but the problem is when you hit print, that's actually not an original. Yeah. He wanted either a handwritten or a typed page that's an original, stamped with the typewriter.
Yeah,
I
love that.
Yeah, so it really is a difference. You can see your writing when you're writing handwritten or not having the option. Your brain knows when you can change the paragraphs and sentences around. That's my dog, Coco. She's snoring.
Coco.
Yeah.
Coco's your new rescue dog.
Yeah, she came from Houston.
So would he have kind of a moment of inspiration and then just kind of like go with that feeling or that idea, or he was
You'd
just
think so. No, he was a pro. He was a professional. He wrote every.
Okay.
There were when he started to have health problems and when his hip and back were really in pain, and also he was almost sent to prison for something he didn't do. There was a period in the 90s that he didn't write every day, but she's just woke up. The moment when he realized he was going to be a writer, the moment he realized he was going to be a writer was about in his late teens. He wrote every day from then on, letters or articles.
That was his
He planned to be a novelist until JFK was assassinated. Then he put his efforts openly and verbally, he said, for the rest of his life he would dedicate to journalism. Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little bit because the Owl Farm is known internationally. The kitchen is especially known for the gatherings that happen in the kitchen. And I mean, we could talk a whole hour about the kitchen festivities.
The war room and the kitchen.
Probably the rest of our lives.
That's right.
But what are some highlights, like some of your favorite times, like in the kitchen? Because you had everything from rock stars to actors to politicians and every locals, Bob Broadus and all the local, legends. And can you just kind of describe that to people, what that was like?
Sure. Owl Farm is a place, there is a long history even before Hunter got here. It's one thing he loved about Owl Farm was the vibe. And he plugged into those portals. First in the war room, that's where he wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and he started the sheriff's campaign in the war room, the room exactly like this in the basement. I have it sealed off just because, for a lot of reasons. But I invite people at NPR, and you will be here next time you come. The kitchen, Owl Farm, people came to Hunter when it's such a beautiful place. It's a destination in itself. And to be able to meet, Hunter here, the guys had really amazing conversations. Hunter and Keith Richards were sitting where we were.
Wow.
The only difference is it was Hunter Thompson and Keith Richards. And the other difference is that they had to have subtitles for each of them. Oh. They spoke their own language. I understood what they're saying, and when you get to know Hunter, you understand everything he's saying. But there were some wild nights. I mean, he did. I mean, of course, things like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was a total exaggeration. It's the beauty of his writing that it's so believable. People assumed it's real. That's how good the writing is. But he's said in interviews and personally tell anyone who asked him, he said, of course it was an exaggeration. So that wasn't really part of the scene here. It wasn't just all drugs. He really did not like drunk people or, doped up people all around him. So that was really discouraged, believe it or not. But we had a lot of fun. When somebody's wasted and they take a lot of energy, they're not present, it's no fun. Right. You could have a lot more fun when everybody's loose, but still here.
Like buzzed and feeling good and feeling high, but not out of control.
But not checked out.
Right.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Is there a celebrity that comes to mind, like in the kitchen? Is there a kind of a highlight that you could think of? Because, there were so many people, like I mentioned earlier, that went through that kitchen and hung out. Is there something?
Coco.
A real special memory? Coco?
Yeah, she's a Coco.
The most recent
kitchen she
memory.
Came from Houston. They're Hunter's close friends. You don't look at people that way. Sometimes, unfortunately, the celebrities they would often come with an entourage and all this absurdities with paparazzi outside. So sometimes it was a pain in the neck. But otherwise, his closest friends, once you get in the kitchen or sit here by the fire, that stuff goes away. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you have so many people just in your neighborhood. John Oates, Jimmy Ibbotson.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of Bradley.
Well, yeah, exactly. Woody Creek was created in such a way. Stranahan and Bill Craig, they bought thousands of acres and sold property to the people they wanted as neighbors, actors, writers, artists, professors, and sold it to them for whatever they could afford, and they would have a right of first refusal. That's why Woody Creek is the way it is. Because Stranahan and the Craigs were able to just sell the property to people they wanted. Really great, smart, interesting people. It's designed with an open heart and family fortune that went the right way.
I didn't know that. That's really special.
Yeah,
George Stranahan's kind of the grandpa. Woody Creek, right?
I did an interview. I wrote about it in the Woody Creeker. It's all there in the Woody Creeker, the history.
Is the Woody Creeker still happening?
It is. It's online. It's online now. It was.
Okay.
It would be its 20th anniversary next year. So, yeah, just go to thewoodycreeker.com.
Talk about Hunter's legacy and how it's relevant today, because we just had a major election, obviously, and he was so politically oriented. Can you just speak to his
That's a really good question.
And, how that's relevant today?
I ask myself that all the time, especially the last 8 years or 10 years or so with Trump and Clinton and Bernie Sanders. I think it's a really good question. And we of course, we don't want to say what someone who's no longer alive, what we think that they would believe, but I think it's obvious. You can read Hell's Angels or all of his books. He warned against the people who are left out, discarded, thrown in prison, Hell's Angels types. He worried about this starting with Hell's Angels, and we have, January 6th, for example. So none of this is a surprise. He's been writing about it since the late 60s. It's all there. No mystery.
Right. And then locally, kind of the evolution of Aspen. He's talking about greed heads back in the late 70s.
Corporate takeover.
Aspen's as greedy as ever.
Yes.
It's obviously amazing in so many ways too. But especially since COVID, with the urban refugees coming here, people, average home cost is over $10 million.
Yeah.
What do you think he'd have to say about kind of
he already said it. He already said it. This is what he was afraid of.
Yeah.
But it's also not over yet. There's a beautiful artwork that he did, which you'll see right now, is his. It's basically a Disney MGM sign that says Aspen, basically with the corporatization of Aspen. But then on the side it says maybe not.
Yeah. Well, it's up to us,
because
right?
it is we.
It's up to the
He always
residents.
believed that. Hunter was a really hopeful person, believe it or not.
Right.
So.
And talk about the mission today, and we're closing down in the last couple minutes, but the Gonzo Foundation was created to kind of, support activism, journalism.
Yes.
Can you expand
Yes.
on that a
Well,
little?
now it's shelved, just so we can focus on the historic designation and any funds that come into the Gonzo Foundation, which I love, that goes to the Columbia University for the Hunter Thompson Scholarship for Veterans at Columbia. Columbia is the only Ivy League university, anyway, that has a special place for non-traditional students. They're in regular classes. I graduated from there. It's a tough one to get into because it's the only one that's for non-traditional students. It started with the GI Bill, but to have a named scholarship for Hunter was it was a huge accomplishment for us and something I'm very proud of. So thanks for asking. It's the Hunter Thompson Scholarship at Columbia University for veterans exclusively.
So
Hunter was in
cool.
the Air Force.
Closing thoughts down to our last minute. This has just been such a pleasure, Anita. Do you have any closing thoughts for our viewers?
Yeah, well now that we're, one thing that's
we
really
got a
cool.
special guest.
Yeah, thank you for coming because I wanted to talk about Owl Farm being a farm again. This is my goddaughter Nova Odom and her mom Gina, who has been here for over a decade.
Come on in, Gina.
Do you remember what we did the other day on the tractor in the snow? What did we do?
Planted some seeds.
That's right. We planted winter barley and winter wheat. Thank you for letting us have some free child labor.
You guys are,
Gina.
Anytime, yeah. She's a hard worker.
well,
She really is.
That is so cool. So that's the future right there.
Yeah, the next generation of Owl farmers.
Well, thanks for joining us, Nova, and
Thanks.
thank you, Gina. We're out of time. Did you guys have
Do you
fun
have,
on the
do you have-
show?
do you have one last thing to say about Hunter Thompson?
Do you want one more thing to say, Nova?
Hunter Thompson was a good man.
Thank you.
It's such an honor. Such a pleasure. Such a
Thank you.
joy.
Located in the heart of Aspen, the Wheeler Opera House is rooted in community and recognized globally, presenting live entertainment from comedy and music to dance and theater. Visit WheelerOperaHouse.com for a full schedule of events.
From Olympic podium to Aspen real estate, I'm Chris Klug, and I know what it takes to succeed. As an athlete, I mastered perseverance and strategy, qualities I now bring to real estate. Whether you're buying or selling, my dedication and commitment are unwavering. Together we'll navigate the market and achieve your real estate dreams.
Join the string beans in helping reduce food waste in our community.
Plan menus carefully and only buy what you need.
Collect unused scraps for compost.
Ask for smaller portions in restaurants.
Take home leftovers to eat later.
Donate unopened food to our food bank.
Let's work in concert to reduce food waste.
Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school and snowshoeing specialists since 1996.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Смотрите GrassRoots телевидение, 12 канал Aspen.
Оглядачи GrassRoots телевизия. Вы смотрите телевидение GrassRoots, канал 12.
Cześć, oglądacie GrassRoots Television, kanał 12 Aspen.
Вы смотрите телевидение GrassRoots, канал 12.
Hi, you are watching GrassRoots TV, channel 12 Aspen.